The parable of the Good Samaritan. In Luke chapter 10, Jesus shares the parable of the Good Samaritan. At the time, the Jewish people who did not believe in Jesus likely reacted strongly to this parable. Given our distance from the cultural and emotional context of those times, we often struggle to grasp the true meaning of this message. The Jews of that era despised the Samaritans, considering any contact with them as defiling. Thus, the idea that a Jewish man, left nearly dead by robbers, was ignored by his own people, a priest and a Levite, only to be helped by a despised Samaritan who even paid for his lodging, would have been highly provocative. However, Jesus' intention in delivering this parable was not to criticize the Jews or to condemn their hypocrisy. Nor was it merely to encourage us to emulate the good deeds of the Samaritan. To fully understand this parable, we need to accurately interpret the characters and the scenario that Jesus describes. The Jewish man who falls victim to robbers represents humanity. Like the man in the parable, humanity is left nearly dead by Satan's attacks, surviving with just our physical lives, devoid of spiritual life. This condition of humanity, vulnerable and devastated by the robber Satan, is not unlike the state of the man beaten by robbers. The priest and Levite, who see the wounded man but choose to pass by, represent those associated with the law. The law was the first covenant given to earth before the gospel, through Jesus Christ. However, this first covenant, the law, could not save sinful humans, which is symbolized by the priest and the Levite passing by the beaten man. Additionally, the Samaritan who rescued the victim and took him to an inn symbolizes Jesus Christ. This is because the Jews, who despised and overlooked Samaritans, treated Jesus in a similar manner at that time. While the first covenant, the law, failed to save humanity, the second covenant, Jesus, brings salvation. Yet, had the beaten man been conscious, he likely would not have accepted help from a Samaritan. Similarly, those who despise Jesus today will not seek God or rely on Jesus unless they find themselves in a desperate state, akin to being nearly dead after a robbery. It is in such moments of utter helplessness, when one ceases to rely on their own thoughts and methods, that Jesus can truly work in our lives. The reason doctors administer anesthesia before surgery is that if we were conscious, our reflexes could prevent the surgery or treatment from being properly conducted. Similarly, to receive the Lord's healing, we must first consent to the surgery and undergo anesthesia. Of course, the Lord's healing doesn't involve needles or surgical instruments. Just as in the parable of the Good Samaritan, where wine and oil were used for healing, the Lord heals our wounds by pouring the wine of Jesus' blood and the oil of the Holy Spirit into our spirits. This act not only heals our wounds, but also breathes true spiritual life into us. The true meaning behind the command to go and do likewise is not simply about performing good deeds that are visible to others, but about saving the lives of those who are dying. From the day we believe in Jesus, we inherit this duty. And just as Jesus did, we too must act accordingly. Thus, understanding the true meaning of the parable of the Good Samaritan, I hope you will look around for those who are spiritually dying from their encounters with the robbers of life. And regardless of the timing, provide opportunities to bring them back to life, being a true saint in action.
구독, 좋아요, 알림 설정 해주세요. Subscribe, like, set notifications.